Look, we knew this year's Oscars were going to be weird, right? We knew the nominations were going to be a little odd, and the competitive pool was going to be a little strange, and campaigns were going to look a lot different than we had expected them to and had been used to them. But this season has kind of continued to just fucking completely flip us out of our seats, right? At every turn, something strange or odd or crazy has managed to happen that has made us go back to our lists and rethink what we've written down. And I never thought I'd say this, but the Critics' Choice Award nominations actually kind of provided a little bit of clarity. I'm not necessarily going to discuss category by category this time around. I'm kind of just going to discuss what films benefited from this slew of nominations, and also, what we've learned as a result of this category breakdown, because the Critics' Choice Awards are very odd in that they just kind of nominate however many people they feel like on a given day. So they're typically known, to me at least, as being sort of the cop-out award ceremony, where they just kind of go, well, let's not pick. Let's just put them all in there, why not? And that's most certainly what they did, but I actually think they helped us to narrow down a little bit in terms of perspective as to what we're looking at in terms of major contenders and who we can be looking for as we continue to move forward. I think in regards to picture, and also I have the added benefit of the Oscar shortlist just came out, so I have a little bit more knowledge than when these nominations originally came out a few days ago. But Best Picture, when it comes to this award ceremony, I think those nominations have really helped to cement what we really need to be looking at. I think those 10 films that were selected are pretty undoubtedly the top 10 that we need to be keeping our eyes on. I was surprised Soul didn't appear in those 10. I still think that that's a pretty viable possibility to wind up in Best Picture as a nomination. But we're also kind of just going to have to see on that. But we know now that with the Academy's rules, it's going to be 10 films. We don't have to fucking guess anymore. There's going to be 10 movies in Best Picture. We know that for sure. We can make solid predictions as to what movies are going to be those 10, as opposed to going, well, if it's 8, it could be these 8 with these 2 left over, and if it's 7, it could be these with these 3 left over. They finally decided that is a stupid idea. So I think that these 10 are the ones to be looking out for. I think the weakest of them is definitely News of the World. I think that is the one that has the ability to be a little looser. Originally, I would have said Da 5 Bloods. I know it had picked up a lot of wins at a lot of festivals and a lot of critics' choices and all that good stuff. But at the Globes, its real lack of appearance was a big deal. But it has managed to recover itself very well in the last week or so, with a pretty solid appearance at the SAG Awards and a very solid appearance here, featuring itself in picture, featuring itself in director, finally featuring itself in leading actor, featuring itself in supporting actor, which is now something that we actually have to seriously talk about, and is kind of going to be my first point. It's pretty rare for someone to pick up a double nomination. It doesn't happen very frequently. Cate Blanchett did it. Jamie Foxx did it. Most recently, Scarlett Johansson did it. And now it's looking as though it is very possible, and that shakes up the supporting actor category quite a bit, with Chadwick Boseman being potentially a locked-in candidate for supporting actor. I wouldn't go so far as to lock him in just yet. If I had to lock in, a slew of individuals in the supporting actor category, I think Leslie Odom Jr. is a very sure bet. I think Daniel Kaluuya is a very sure bet, and I think Sacha Baron Cohen is a very sure bet. This category, early on, before we started getting these nominations, looked a lot more set than it does now. people were talking about 3 of the Trial of the Chicago 7 performances being in that category. You had Sacha Baron Cohen, Frank Langella, Yahya Abdul-Mateen. You had even, Mark Rylance was being discussed at certain points, and now it's looking like it's just going to be Sacha Baron Cohen. So who does that leave us with? Well, now it leaves us with Chadwick Boseman, who I think has a very, very, very good chance of winding himself up with a supporting actor nomination and a leading actor nomination. I think that the strength of the performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is propelling him forward into Five Bloods. I don't think he's the standout performance in that film. I absolutely think Delroy Lindo is the standout performance in that film. Is Chadwick Boseman's Thunder taking some of Delroy Lindo's away? That is very possible. And I think it is entirely possible that a Chadwick Boseman nomination could actually eliminate a Delroy Lindo nomination. But again, this film has found its footing again. It is now back to being a contender for a picture nomination for sure. Spike Lee is still, in my opinion, a contender for director, even though I think his odds have loosened up a little bit. Boseman is now a really strong contender for supporting actor, and Lindo is still in the race for leading actor despite missing out on the Globe and the SAG. Both big to miss out on. It's very important to keep that in mind. Supporting actor-wise, we're still left with a few options. Paul Raci finally showed up for Sound of Metal. His performance was finally given some attention, and he wound up in this category, so it is safe to say that we can still keep an eye on him as a potential nominee. Who is missing? Your boy, Jared fucking Leto. He's just, I don't know. Listen, I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and some campaigns have really confused me, and some nominations have really shocked me. This campaign and nomination is by far the most astounding and shocking to me out of anything that I have read and discussed and analyzed. This movie that I hadn't heard of until last month when 15-second ads started popping up on Facebook for it. Jared Leto wasn't mentioned anywhere, and now all of a sudden he gets a Globe and a SAG nomination. He's not on the BAFTA shortlist. He didn't get a nomination here, but most recently with the Oscar shortlist coming out, The Little Things as a film showed up a couple of times, so that leads us to question, okay, is this guy actually a contender for supporting actor? A lot of people are set on no. I'm not so convinced. We're not going to learn anything more about his chances really at all. We know he's not going to be nominated at the BAFTAs. We know he's not nominated here. I have to see the movie. I'm loathing that activity. I am loathing watching that movie, but I have to, and I'm going to. And so I obviously can't say much about it. Him not being here, more than it clarifying things for me, actually confuses things for me a lot, because I have no earthly clue what his campaign looks like and what is going on with that performance. I'm going to watch the movie. Hopefully I'll be able to touch on it a little bit more. But I think supporting actors is going to be a really interesting category to look at, and genuinely a difficult one to predict. And that kind of takes us over into the other supporting category, which is supporting actress. Amanda Seyfried making her return. I think that this list of nominees that we were provided with is definitely the one that we want to be picking names from in terms of who is going to wind up being nominated for this Oscar, right? And I have them pulled up here because I think this category is going to be such an interesting movement of puzzle pieces. Somebody's going to miss out. Somebody's going to get in. But at the end of the day, somebody here is getting snubbed, and it's going to be a weird one. I think we can very safely say that Olivia Colman and Yuh Jung-yoon from Minari are going to be in there. Originally, I would have been a little less confident in Minari, but I think that film is actually going to be a pretty heavy powerhouse at the Academy Awards, and I think she has a really good chance of getting in there, especially with showing up at the SAGs in the way that she did. I think that was a massive push forward in her campaign. I personally do not see a world in which Maria Bakalova is not nominated for Borat. Way earlier in the year, I would never have in a million years thought that she was going to be nominated, but as that has continued and as time has gone on and as her performance has gained more and more traction in critical reviews, and in these award ceremonies, I truly don't see a scenario in which she's not nominated. I actually find her to be a lock. I personally still feel that Amanda Seyfried is going to pick up a nomination for Mank. Mank was really strong at the Critics' Choice Awards, and I know for some reason people think that it's going to be weak at the Oscars. I really don't think so. Picture, director, lead actor, supporting actress, I still think Seyfried is a top contender in that category. Screenplay, it's looking like a strong, solid bet for a nomination. Don't underestimate that film. I think that film is going to be everywhere, and I think that its critical acclaim and the fact that it's a huge performance for Amanda Seyfried is going to propel her into that nomination. So for me, that leaves us with a fifth slot, and out of these nominations, it comes down to Glenn Close and Ellen Burstyn. And Ellen Burstyn has not had the run that we expected her to have. Somebody that we thought had strong contention to win has missed out. And she shows up here, she gets a little bit of her traction back, but I don't think Glenn Close is going to miss at this point. It's difficult to give that much attention to her SAG Award nomination because we know that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association loved Hillbilly Elegy. Amy Adams not receiving a nomination here reflects that. But I think Glenn Close has more of the career Oscar going for her. You have to remember that Glenn Close does not have an Academy Award. Ellen Burstyn does. Plus, Glenn Close versus Olivia Colman is a race that people want to see again. Does Glenn Close have a chance of winning this time around? I don't think she has a shot in the world. But I think that Olivia Colman being a shoo-in in this category is big for Glenn Close. And Glenn Close has yet to miss, and it doesn't seem like she's slowing down, which is incredibly strange considering that film's reaction critically, as well as the fact that it was released so long ago, and I don't think anybody remembers it for any aspect of it at all. I think this category is going to be really interesting, and I think that these six are a really strong six, and at the end of the day, the way I see it, there's going to be one big shock in this category. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but somebody's going to get the boot, and somebody's going to get in, and a lot of people are probably going to be unhappy, really no matter what, if I had to guess. When it comes to actress, I think we have a little bit of an interesting race, but what I've noticed about Best Actress over the last couple of years, and this isn't consistent, but this category typically tends to have four pretty damn sure locks and one open slot. This year you've got Viola Davis, you've got Vanessa Kirby, you've got Frances McDormand, you've got Carey Mulligan. Those four, 90% sure they will be Academy Award nominees this year, which leaves that fifth slot open, and it is pretty open. You have Andra Day being a possibility for the United States versus Billie Holiday, but she just missed out on being in the Best Original Song category at the Oscar shortlist, so that is something important to keep in mind. Sydney Flanagan made this run. I don't think that's going to happen personally. You also have Zendaya on this list, so a lot of people are saying it's either Zendaya or Andra Day. Which one is going to take it? I can't say, personally. Could Sophia Loren creep up and be a sleeper nomination? Possibly. It's difficult to say. It's not unlike anything that's happened before, a la Roma, but it would be a pretty crazy creep-up nomination. Having now seen Malcolm and Marie, I quite honestly struggle to believe that Zendaya is going to make the cut without John David Washington, and I just don't think that the critical reception is good enough for that film for Zendaya to sneak in. People will probably counter that by saying something like Hillbilly Elegy didn't have strong critical reception either, but to that I would say you're looking at Amy Adams and Glenn Close, two people who at this moment right now are known as being probably arguably the top two people who are well overdue for their Oscars, both with upwards of 6 Oscar nominations under their belt. People have been fighting for an Amy Adams Academy Award for the last 15 years. Glenn Close has been fighting for an Academy Award her entire fucking career. Zendaya is brand new to the film scene. She's going to have a lot of chances to pick up this nomination in her career. I'm not ruling her out I'm not saying she's not a possibility. I personally think, however, her missing out at the Golden Globes was a huge deal. I thought she was a shoo-in at the Golden Globes. You have to remember that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association loves what is popular. They will put what is popular in on any day, whenever they possibly can. Zendaya is like the hottest fucking name in Hollywood right now. From Spider-Man to Euphoria to the roles that she has coming up, and this being what would be probably deemed her first real shot at Oscar contention, right? In a film role, it's her first leading performance in a dramatic film that is being campaigned by a production company with the size and budget of Netflix. But she's missing out. And the fact that she missed out on the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is a pretty massive red flag. So does that put Andra Day in? I don't know. And it's tough to say because I'm not able to see that movie yet. I do still think Amy Adams is a possibility, but I think her missing out on the Critics' Choice Award nominations is a big deal. She didn't make the top 7 for them, but that could mean anything. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Critics' Choice Awards are always the best precursors to look at when it comes to the Academy Award nominations. I think this 5th slot is a really, really interesting one, and it's going to take a bit of further examination in terms of looking at to see whether or not this is going to go one way, or potentially one way if we're talking about a 3-woman race. And then Best Actor, they just decided, fuck it. Put them all in. Put them all in and put Ben Affleck in there too. Just for fun. Why not? Right? In terms of locks in this category, you're looking at, oh shit. You know what I'm just fucking realizing? I didn't even talk about Helena Zengel not even being in News of the World. Because I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about this category, and then when I get to Hanks, I'll talk about Helena Zengel. There's just so much in these fucking nominations to talk about. I think in terms of actor with locks, you got Riz Ahmed as a sure bet. You've got Anthony Hopkins as a sure bet. You got Gary Oldman as a sure bet. And it's really, to me, looking like Steven Yeun is going to be in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be in there. For some reason, people are thinking that Gary Oldman is the one on his way out the door, when I really think it might be Delroy Lindo. Chadwick Boseman is getting in. If I didn't mention him, it's because he's winning. And there's just no dancing around that. So I would be astounded if Riz Ahmed doesn't make it in. I don't think Tom Hanks is going to make it in. Tom Hanks recently has a history of being in the talks and contention for the Academy Awards for every movie that he does every single year, and then never gets in. He squawked in with A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and every other film, The Post, Captain Phillips, he's missed out. I don't think this is going to be the one that gets him his next nomination. So we have to have the discussion of, with Steven Yeun being a really strong competitor and almost possibly a lock, who misses out? And if I had said originally, way back when, that I thought Delroy Lindo was going to get pushed out, I would have called myself crazy. But I think that he might. And I think the strength of Chadwick Boseman in this Academy Award season is going to push him out, and it's not even going to be intentional. I just think that his appearance and his gravitas right now is calling all of the attention to him on the screen. Even in something like The Five Bloods, which I do think Delroy Lindo is far and away the standout of. So if we're talking about a Chadwick Boseman double nomination, like we are starting to talk about heavily now, I think Delroy Lindo's chances are dwindling a little bit, and I think that's absolutely something to keep an eye on as we move further into this. Like I just mentioned, Tom Hanks being in there for News of the World, but Helena Zengel missing out for supporting actress is unbelievably strange, considering Zengel picked up supporting actress and at the SAGs and the Golden Globes. I just saw the film, and I'm not very confident in her chances of getting in. In fact, I don't really think she's going to. I think that slot is going to go elsewhere. I'll talk about, again, I don't want to talk really about predictions. I'm just kind of talking about what I think that these nominations mean. But I don't think Zengel is going to be in there. I think her performance is reminiscent of a lot of child performances that have been nominated at the Academy Awards but are better and do more for the dynamic of the film and of the leading performance. And I think as a result, she's probably not going to make it in. And her not being at this is a pretty big deal despite being on the BAFTA shortlist. So I think, the conversation of Steven Yeun getting in there leaves Delroy Lindo's chances as a big fat question mark. I want to see the BAFTA nominations, however, before I make a big call on this. Director, again, I think is a really good pool. The big question right now, are we going to see 3 female director nominations? We can be damn sure that Chloe Zhao and Regina King are going to be Oscar nominees for Best Director. The question is going to be, will Emerald Fennell? It's going to depend on how this movie holds up. I'd actually like to see if Carey Mulligan starts winning in places. Because I think if Carey Mulligan can pick up like a Globe win or even a SAG win, which would be kind of nuts at this moment in time, but it is very possible, I think Emerald Fennell's chances skyrocket completely, as well as that movie's chances in a lot of other areas. I don't think it will win much else, but I think that it definitely has a shot at this Best Director nomination. Lee Isaac Chung making it in for Minari is a huge deal. Aaron Sorkin being in there is somebody that is so strong in screenplay right now in his chances, in that I think it's his to lose at this moment in time, that I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't make it into director, but I think it's possible. And I think Fincher is going to make it into director. So you're looking at another opportunity now where it's looking like somebody's going to get the boot and somebody's going to get in that we might not be expecting. I'm not super confident in Spike Lee's chances for this. It looks like the type of film that might be really successful in picture, wind up in something like supporting actor, maybe leading actor, but since director is so selective, and I think they're going to try and get 3 female directors in there this year, Spike Lee might miss out as a result. The question is, could he take someone like Aaron Sorkin's slot? I don't know, because Aaron Sorkin is that film is going to be a huge hit with the Oscars. I don't think anyone's denying that. Trial of the Chicago 7 is going to be massive. People are comparing it to kind of the Green Book to Roma for Nomadland. The Trial of the Chicago 7 is to Nomadland, right? So It's an interesting one to look at, and I think that film has a lot of strength right now that can reflect on Aaron Sorkin getting a nomination. Same thing with Mank, whereas I think Mank has a lot of potential in its realm of nominations. Mank strikes me as the type of film that can pick up 10, 11, 12 nominations and 0 wins, including David Fincher and director, considering David Fincher doesn't frequently pop up in director, but when they really appreciate the work he puts in, he gets into director. I also think it would be really interesting to see David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin in the same category, considering Social Network, but that's a topic for a whole nother day. This is a really fascinating category to me, and I really think it's one to keep your eye on, and I think it's going to be a really fun one to analyze, and I think this list of 7 is a pretty solid short list, and it's time to start thinking about, okay, who's going to get kicked out of this? Who's going to manage to get in there? I'm not going to take really any more time talking about this because I think that we could discuss this for days and hours, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to be strange. These nominations are really probably not going to be very clear-cut at all, and that's just the nature of this season. It's a weird season, and it's a hard one to analyze. It's arguably the hardest to analyze. We've lost everything we know about release dates and theatrical release and timeline. All of that stuff is just kind of off the table at this point, and it feels like a free-for-all to me. It feels like anyone has an equal shot of getting into anywhere, but I like that. I feel like this is what it should feel like. It should be really hard to predict these awards, and I'm really glad that it is difficult. I do think these nominations offer up some clarity. I think they give us a solid shortlist, but I don't think in any way, shape, or form that eliminates the possibility of some really, really crazy stuff happening. Again, Helena Zengel, for instance, not making this shortlist, but being in the Globes and in the SAGs, that is pretty unheard of, and I think that that's going to make for a really interesting run in supporting actress. We've got a lot of really interesting categories, a lot of big films, a lot of big stuff to look at, and a long way to go. So I'm going to keep up with everything the best that I can. I apologize if I seem a little off in this video. It has been a long 2 days. I have had a lot to do and a lot going on, so I apologize if it doesn't seem like I'm thinking entirely straight. I enjoy, venting like this as much as I can, but when it comes time to start predicting things, I'm really going to put my head to it and really try and write out why I believe what is going to happen is going to happen. But realistically, this is one of our last steps along the way to the Academy Award nominations. We've got the BAFTA noms, and that's kind of it in terms of nominations. So keep watching with me, and I appreciate you all sticking around and listening to me talk. It means the world to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What have these nominations meant to you? Is Jared fucking Leto going to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor again? Who's to say? But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you all next time.